Rob. I thought I'd go ahead and stream this event, this next session of the indieVelo Grand Tour. I'm doing it in a couple of hours myself, so this is partly just to watch my friends race, and also a little bit of a scouting mission for myself and my team and the rest of my team going a little later. So this is stage one, the indieVelo Grand Tour Prologue. It's a short prologue. In fact, let's jump in and look at the race here. So this is the course they'll do. It's a very short prologue ITT, no draft. This warms them up, and half an hour after this start, the first 30-kilometer stage race runs. I'll just keep the recording going in between, and I'll be back for that one after this race. But let's check this out. Let's look at the race notes. And then there have been several sessions before this, so other riders have ridden. I'll recap some of the results after this. There are the rules. Time trial. Everybody starts together, and it's basically you against the clock. No draft between riders. Even though there'll be a bunch of riders, they don't impact one another the way they race, so it's fair between sessions. Pen size is 50, single pen. If more than 50 humans sign up, that's not a limitation. All humans will always be able to join. In races with bots, that kind of caps the number. That's a minimum number is the way to look at it. But, we'll get into the performance verification requirements in a minute. So there are Thomas's notes. Individual time trial. He's got a Google sheet there. The best way to find it is go to the Discord channel for indieVelo. He's got a channel going there with a lot of discussion on this event. He's posting the results there. Let's see his name. This is hosted by Toto LeKoala. Is how he goes by. Great friend, very popular fellow. Does a tremendous amount of work. This is a huge effort he's put into this, and I'm excited for him because it's been very popular. And there are two checkpoints in this one. You can see 1 and 2. And then the finish. Let's see. This is just the time trial, though. We'll come back to that in the second race. That's where the points come in. Scratch what I said there. These are just time checks. All right, let's jump in the race. This is Tier 1 performance verification. So you need a smart trainer, cadence sensor, and HRM all functioning throughout. Everything has to be calibrated, and weight, height be set accurately. Anything that's unnatural gets flagged, and you can be removed mid-race. So keeps it fair for everybody. Oops, I'm spectating this one. I forgot to mention. So I'm not racing this one. I'm just watching the other racers, which is a new feature. You don't have to be a teammate or anyone signed up, which is really nice. 2 minutes, 26 seconds before we go. Let's look at the sign-up list here. All right, some familiar names we race with all the time, and also a lot of new names. This is a huge credit to Thomas or Toto. His intention was to bring in a bunch of new riders, so he's been advertising that, and he's been successful. I see a lot of names I don't know, and a lot of friends were racing. There's one of my teammates, Roberto's signed up. I think we raced earlier too, so people are mixing and matching Prologue. There's Toto. I don't know if he's racing or he's just in as the host. And you'll see some other familiar names. Ben Pitt is a streamer we know. Let's see. And also a lot of new names I don't even recognize. Pedro's done a lot of work advertising. This one, Tam, is famous in the industry. There we go. So some good riders, good buddies. Let's cheer them on. I'll be bouncing around between riders as we go, but you can see there's two features. A pretty hard hill to get over, rest in the middle, and then you have a hard pitch at the end to get up to the finish. Okay, we got 1:12. The pen is going to close in 10 seconds, and then we'll get going. There are no pins in this one. There is in the subsequent race. We'll talk more about that later. But everybody is together in this. All right, so there we are. Now on the right, you see essentially the ranking. These are the expected. Oh, I should mention Aku is 6. He's the first human I recognize anyway. He's live streaming this as we speak. So if you want to see He just popped up with his live stream. Search for him. You can see from the rider's perspective of both of these races. Alex Gold, we know he's another very strong, should be very good at this one. Frank, Ben, I recognize. Martin. So it's a mix of humans and bots. You can think of bots as just pacers, essentially. And I'll kind of keep an eye on everybody as they go through. Here we go, the countdown, 9 seconds, and we're off. The leader so far is Josh Harris, who put in a blazing 5-minute, 22-second time earlier today. Let's see, I'm going to move up to the, let's kind of keep an eye on the front and just keep an eye. There's Aku. He's a very strong rider, so he's the one who's live streaming now. If you want to see, he has a very sophisticated live stream, including webcam, so if you want to see his suffering, definitely watch his effort. So here's what it looks like from his perspective. Let's see how he does on this hill. It's a very hard, about a 60-second hard effort to get up this thing. You get a little bit of relief on the descent, but you want to keep your speed high over the top and on the descent. And then you have to be ready for that very sharp climb up to the finish. It reaches, I think, 15% at one point, actually. So there he just goes, and Michael behind him is another human, and Noah behind him is another human, I believe. So Alex Gold is coming. He's a very strong rider. Steve Jukes. Let's look at the helicopter view so you can see how people are spread out. There's no draft. You can use the other rider ahead of you as a pacer if you like. Boy, that's some powerful numbers. That's a pace I can only dream of. So he's on the climb. There we go. So heavy riders will take more time to get up this than the climbers, but you might see him pick up on the descent. Well, it levels off. It's only a couple percent here. It picks up a little bit. So the first half of this climb is really where the sting is. I suffered there yesterday, in fact, and will in 2 hours. Let's jump up to look at how Michael's doing. Let's see if he's able to keep the power on over the top and watch his speed. That's important here. So there's the first banner. Let's see if we start getting time checks. Oh, I don't see them, I think, in spectate mode. I think the riders do. I'm still getting used to this spectate mode. Let's take another look from the helicopter. So we have riders of all abilities, elite riders like Josh, Zin, and there's others coming in the later sessions also. Yeah, you can see Aku catching up to him as a heavier rider like me. On the descent, he's making up ground. So that's kind of what you'd expect. Lighter riders are going to go faster on the steep bits of those climbs. Heavy riders, big watt guys can make it up on the descents. Like Alex Gold is another one. Let's kind of go back through the field a little bit. There's Steve Jukes. I've seen him posting. I think he's fairly new to, oh, there we go. I'm sorry, there was the first checkpoint. I was missing more banner confusion on my part, which is common. I've seen him posting lately. I think he's fairly new to indieVelo. I don't think I've raced with him yet. Let's see how Alex is doing. I have definitely raced with Alex. Ooh, some big watts. And then some of these others will be bots. It's hard to tell sometimes if you don't know. There's so many new humans. I'm not confident I know who the humans and the bots are. That's by design on the platform, actually. And once you're comfortable with it, it's something you appreciate, actually. It takes some getting used to. Some people never quite do, but I'm a big fan of the bots. There's Oliver. We know Oliver from Moonriders. All right, let's go back up there and see how things are making out. Front. Michael's still up there. It's very tight between those guys. Oh, now John, again, I don't know if that's a bot or human. The cadence of that rider is interesting. Like you kind of learn to. Oh, now Michael just picked up that the flares you just saw are the 1K banner. So let's watch what he's got to deal with at that climb coming up around the lake. Got a very steep ramp climb, hits like 15%, and then you have to try to keep your speed up long enough over the top to the finish line. Again, we're looking at 5:22 for the best time so far, which smashed the field with Josh. So far, I think he was well ahead of the other riders. But this is going to be a very good time. So here he comes up against that climb. You'll be able to see his speed drop. It's so hard to get up this thing fast. You're a really, really punchy rider. You almost have to sprint very, very fast. And the guys are quick up, quicker than others. That'll help. The super punchy riders can save time here. Now, almost certainly that's a bot, I'd guess. Could be wrong. It's the first finisher. I might be wrong. That's a fast cadence. I don't know this rider. Steve Jukes is coming on strong. Let's see if he can catch at the end. Aku's right behind. So Steve is definitely human. I'm not sure about John. There's the finish. Let's see. 5:22 is the best time so far. Turned in 6.3. So let's go back to the other riders. There goes Aku. Here comes Alex up to the finish. You can see how that ramp just really kills off your speed, but that's well done. Anything less than 6:30 is going to be very competitive for the other stage races. It's a time-based GC, so time lost here isn't going to be as important as time lost later. There's Martin. He just came through. See who's still out there, right? Recognize some of the other riders. Sorry, I'm not doing a good job capturing. It's kind of hard to move back through. Sandy, let's get to Sandy. I can. And then I missed him. All right, well, that is you can see the times up there. So 6:03 was the first marker. Unclear if that's human or bot. I couldn't tell. Steve Jukes, definitely human, so he's the one for sure is a human at a 6:04 roughly, which is a very solid time. Will set him up well for both the points and time-wise for the rest of the GC. There is a green jersey competition for sprint points coming up in the next race. We'll talk about that in a bit. Let's see. I made a few notes. Let's see. So far, the team points, which is a big thing for us. I'm with the Race PR team. Dirt has a dominating lead. Dirt Squad, you'll know them from Zwift. They're prominent now in indieVelo. They have a 2-minute 31 second gap. Best three riders count. That's going to all be scrambled over the next couple of sessions, which are some of the bigger sessions. But they've got the lead and some very strong riders, including riders coming up too. So that should be very competitive. All right, so the next race starts at 1/2 the hour. So I'll just take a little bit of a break. I'll watch them spectating, and I'll pop back in and we'll watch the full race. All right, thank you. All right, I'm back. We got 10 minutes before the second race, which is the stage 2 and a road race, about 30 kilometers long. I want to get in the pen a little early because in spectate mode, you got to be a little careful who you're following in the pen if you want to end up to be able to watch the people you want to. So let's pop back in there. I'm just watching in the intermission, just one of the pace bots, Eddie Emerald. I know him well, many kilometers I put in with him. Let's jump back and talk about the race coming up. Again, my interest in this is just to record my friends, practice my streaming setup, and scout this out a little bit for myself, which I'm starting at this race myself in a couple hours. I'll record it again, both of them from the rider's perspective. You want to see the rider's perspective live at the moment. Aku is streaming. He's got a very nice setup. You can actually see him in his webcam suffering with these races. He just did stage 1 and he'll be streaming stage 2 as well in a few minutes. So if you search live indieVelo, you'll see Felty is his name for streaming. So I highly recommend watching that if you want to see a rider rather than just spectate riders like I will. I'll be bouncing around between different riders, so different perspectives. All right, 9 minutes before this one starts. Let's check it out. Again, I'm not racing this one. I'll just be spectating. So that's what the profile looks like. This, despite those bumps, it's very flat race. You can hardly feel the couple little 4-degree pitches, but it feels very flat. There's some light wind in this one. It was not in the previous one. Just 5 kilometers, not bad. It's just we're going to go around the coastal loop for 30 kilometers, which tends to be very flat, but we do go all the way around, so you'll have to deal with headwinds and tailwinds. You can feel it even at this moderate wind speed. Let's look at what Toto has set up for us. So this is just one of the sessions. There are many going on to accommodate time zones all around the world. It's a team points race. He picks that to be able to use the intermediate sprint points for the green jersey is the main reason. But there is a team competition as well, but it's time-based. So he's got an interesting, clever way to set this up. Again, thank you, Thomas, Toto, for all the work you've done. It's a tremendous effort to pull this off, and it's already been very successful. I should be proud of that. We're very excited to participate. Okay, so what else is important to know about this upcoming race? This is pen size of 50. That comes into play, meaning there'll be basically a minimum number of 50 riders. So if you only have 10 humans, 40 bots will fill. If you have 55 humans, there'll be no bots, but all 55 humans can race. So humans are never restricted. That's a little confusing at times. And it uses wide ability range matchmaking. There's a couple different options you can use. If you want to race with people and bots that are very close to you, there's another option that'll split the pens up finally. This one's a little broader. It should give 4 pens usually. It's good for when you want to race fairly evenly, but also a better chance to race with your buddies, even if you're a little different in abilities. He's got an 800-meter neutralized zone. I'll talk more about that when it starts. Easier to show you than describe it. And we'll talk about the performance verification requirements in a moment. So here are the points. At each banner, 1 and 2, you see here, so 1 and 2 is just the finish, but there's an intermediate sprint point where you get these points 50 all the way down to 1. And there is a green jersey competition. So if you're aiming for that, those are what's important to you. You want to be first across the line at the finish and the intermediate sprint point if your green jersey is what you're after. Later on in other events with hills, there'd be a polka dot jersey for climbers jerseys. So there's also the individual GC, which is time-based, and there's a teams competition, which is also time-based with the top 3 riders from each team. There's lots to compete for. All right, there's his notes. So draft is on for this one. It was off in the individual time trial. And there's his notes on the top GC. There's also age cats, and I should also point out his race book describes it. There's a sponsor, not to say, Richard Brachet, if I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm sure my horrible American accent mangling the French name grates on the ears. I apologize, but he's very generously offered a sponsorship. And one of my favorite things about that is he's offering for Lantern Rouge prizes for the slowest woman and the slowest man racing. All 6 events they're included too. They get bidons as well as everybody else. I particularly liked that when I saw it. Thank you for that. So no points for the no climb points in this one, obviously, with no climbs. But the sprint points are up. There's organized by Toto LeKoala. It's how we know him in game. Thomas Lavoie is how his mother knows him. Great fellow. Thank you very much, Thomas, for everything you've done. So I'm going to hop back in here and talk too much. Let's see, get back into spectate. There's 4 minutes before the race starts. I got to be a little careful with pins because I have to figure out who I'm following. Let's see here. So dirt rider. It's hard to know. There's a 3R rider. There's my teammate. That's probably Roberto. I can't see the names yet, but let me hop on a rider that I'm going to kind of selfishly try to follow Pen 1 because that's the one I'm going to be racing in shortly. So it's hard to know. I don't know the names, and you got to be on the right rider. So this looks like Alex Gold. It will be Pen 1. And I think that's Aku. Yeah. All right, I'm going to bank on that. I think that's going to be Aku, who's also streaming live. It depends on which rider you go with. You end up going with that pin. I don't have names, so I'm kind of guessing a little bit. This spectate mode is new, or this upgrade to spectate mode, or may not have teammates in, is new. So anyway, banking on that, we'll follow whatever pen I end up in, but hope to follow pen 1. I think that's where my teammate will be. Let's see who else is in it. Here's the signups. These are just signups. Some people may not make it all the way. Some strong dirt riders there. They'll be very strong. Michael, we just saw do very well in the individual time trial. Steve also might have been the first human. Aku, you saw lead the time trial. So some very strong riders here. Martin, there's my teammate Roberto. If he's in this one, Alex Pleasure is also very strong. Very good. And a lot of new names. This is unusual. Most races I do lately, I know most of the people who have raced them, but I actually don't know more people than I know, which is wonderful. That means more people are getting introduced to the platform. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it on who I hope is Aku. We'll see. Once I can move around between riders once the race begins. It's 2 minutes away. I have some other race notes from previous ones. Josh, there's a very interesting early session. Didn't have a lot of people, but the humans were very strong in it, and they coordinated very tightly, and they worked together almost like a TTT and put in a very fast time. It's an interesting setup with this, with different sessions. Usually the big groups go faster on flat courses like this. So it's a disadvantage typically in a time-based event to go with a small session. But on the other hand, if you're going for points, there are fewer competitors and you still get the same points. So it's an interesting concept. You might be an advantage to go with a smaller session if you're going for the green jersey or mountain jersey, but then you're at a disadvantage on the time jersey. Those guys blew that up this morning by being so fast. So it'll be very interesting to see if the bigger groups can come close to what Josh, Mash, Kent, and Daniel did today. So here we go, 1 minute mark. The pens are going to close, and we'll find out what pen we're actually watching. All right, we're in pen 1, and indeed I was Being Aku. So let's look at the field here. So again, these will be some bots and some humans kind of mixed in, 50 riders minimum. Humans fill first, bots fill the rest. There's Ben, Frank, humans, Alexander, see the peddlers. Oh, Matthias is in, that's great. Quentin, I think I recognize Dominic from Dirt, made it. I recognize some other racers. And there's Alex, raced with him a lot, including yesterday. Alex Gold is in. He'll be very good in this too. So this will be good. Let's see how this goes. So the 10 seconds from the start, we'll watch how they go. We'll keep an eye on some of their features, the horse features like the split road, which we'll encounter twice. We'll talk about that. Here's that neutral zone. Let me talk about that. This white bot up front is a pacer. So Thomas will have set the speed. It's at speed or power. And sometimes riders who are less familiar will do exactly that, go bouncing off and bouncing back. That makes me think John is human, actually. I wasn't so sure in the last race. He did really well in the time trial, but now seeing how he's riding here, very human-like. It's very easy to go too far past this pacer and you get braked. So it's meant to kind of give everybody a running start at the start instead of just blasting out of the gate. There's Matthias. You can tell it's kind of hard to get the pacing right as you scoot up through the field. So it's only 800 meters. It's coming to the end. Down the lower left, you can see the little gray on the profile. So you can see now the white flares coming up. And there's the eager humans. Yes, Frank, I've done it. You don't want to bounce off just the last second because you get bounced to the back of the packs. But I have some teammates that are really good at timing this, where they shoot off the front. If you get it wrong, here comes Alex up to the front in the black kit. So here we go. There's the end of the neutral zone. Now we're racing, so we'll keep an eye and see who's being aggressive. There goes Alex. No surprise there at all. He's a very strong sprinter, and often this whole Lazio team is aggressive, very savvy racers. Alex Gold, two Alexes, humans right behind him. And Dominic Smith, another great, very strong human, Frank and Aku. So the first five, this front bunch, this is good. These are all human. Here comes Matthias, and John's coming up. So I know all those fellows. The critter that just caught, I'm not so sure of. So you have to get used to bot racing. It's wonderful. I think a lot of us do. Yeah, this is a bot I recognize. This is an attack, a typical behavior. So you have to decide if you want to go with that, use that, or often they'll fade. You can burn matches chasing, and then all of a sudden you find out they slow, and then everybody catches you, and you wasted a match. Alex is game for it. He's coming up. So they're competing against themselves in this race, but also against the earlier sessions. And again, those blazing speeds that Kent, Josh, Mash, and Daniel put in earlier, working together, are going to be hard for any group to match. So Alex is up there with him now. Let's see if that's a breakaway that sticks. Let's take a look at the helicopter views. You can see how spread out there. So there's one main peloton back there. There's probably some humans. And one nice little breakaway. Let's see if they can stay away. That's a typical early break in a race like this. You often have to work. Humans often have to work to hold it, though, because there'll be attacks and bridges from behind. So just not a conveyor belt to victory. If you want to keep it, you often have to do work on the front, as it should be. Let's see who. Yeah, looking at his cadence, I think John, he's new to me. I assumed he was a bot before, right? I think that's a human rider. Looking at it, how his cadence is more varied. Little cues, sometimes you can tell the way he races. I may be wrong, but I think that's a new human that's quite strong and new to me. But this is a good group. I hope they can work together to stay fast. Let's see how they go. Yeah, looks like they're gaining 12 seconds. So Ben is back there in the group. You can still bridge up. There'll be attacks from there. If you can catch that, 12 seconds can be made up. But that's what's a little different about this race. And I think what happened in the earlier session, I think those guys attacked. They had 2 minutes plus on the lead bot. I saw in the early session, which really sent a statement. Very, very impressive ride earlier. So we still got their 12 seconds, 8 riders up front. And again, I don't know them all. I think they might be all human. I'm not quite confident of that, actually. Here we go. Alex wants to liven things up a little bit. That's good. If you want to be fast and compete with the first session and probably the next session to come with a much larger, this is what they have to do. And I think Matthias gets that. I don't see in-game chat as a spectator. They're probably and hopefully coordinating their efforts here at this point. That's what it's going to take to be a really fast session. So I wish them well. It's a pretty good group. That could be a fast TT bunch if they all work together. And they're gaining a little bit of time on the group behind, so it looks like they're working. They do have a bot in there. Sometimes you can use those too. Let's see, get a picture of these guys. All right. Well done. So they've got some very strong riders in there. Alex, Aku, I know well, Matthias, Alex Gold. So there's no reason they can't put in a fast time. They'll have to kind of coordinate, work together. Which it'll have to be kind of a TTT. I'm hoping that's what we get together in the next session or in chat. That's what I at least offer. We have several teammates too, so I know I'll have teammates that would help to do that. So they're getting ready to come up on the first feature of the course. You have to kind of navigate. That's the split road. It's at the top of that bump up to about the 10-kilometer mark, maybe the 9-kilometer mark. They're up to 19 seconds now, so they're gaining, which is good. Speeds are pretty decent, but I think they'll have to pick it up in the second half if they want to, I'm guessing, come close to where Josh and those fellows did. But it depends on what they're looking for. If Alex Pleasure, I know, is a good spinner, loves point races, so it's in his interest if he's after the green jersey to sit in here and go for sprint point 1 and sprint point 2, maybe not burn himself out trying to go for time. So it depends on what their interests are. There goes Alex as we speak. So I love his the way he animates races. So hopefully he won't drop anybody. Let's see how it goes. Looks like they'll all still be in the draft, but they're going to have to work to keep up. Now Alex Gold goes, and he's also a super strong rider. I think these guys get it. They know they're going to have to push the pace hard, work together if they're going to be competitive in the GC based on the earlier times. And it looks like they have kind of splitting the field here. Let's take a look at helicopter. A little gap, they'll still be in the draft. In fact, let's show you that. For the first rider, there's Scott, there's the group behind. So everybody's back together, so they didn't lose anything. They're coming up to the split road, and hopefully they will coordinate in chat and all go either high or low. You'll have to make a choice. When you're working together, you want to coordinate to make sure you all go the same way and work together. And you're at the end of the race, when you're all competing with each other, like at the end, the second time they pass this, you can see that we're doing a couple passes of this. You know how it is in bike racing. You cooperate up to a point, and then you compete. And somebody with long range attack abilities might want to go a different way and attack there to get a gap and stay ahead. So we can see behind there's a group 2 forming. I'll come back to that in a minute. One rider has a gap on the peloton. But these guys are coming up to the split point here. Now, I don't think I'll be able to see, I don't get the choice. They will get a choice. They get to pick on the screen between high and low road. You can see it on the mini map in the upper right coming, because it'll come into view in just a moment. Now that rider's starting to close. I want to wait until the end of the split and we'll come back to see Igor. I think that's a bot, if I remember right. But I hope they're coordinating and I hope they cooperate until near the end of the race to keep the pace high. That's what, again, we're going to try to do in the next session. At least I'll try to convince people to work together. I'll do my part the best I can anyway. It sure looks like that's what the two Alexes are doing up front. Let's watch them. There's Alex Gold. I've seen him do some huge efforts. So yeah, he's a big, strong rider, putting in a really big effort. That's a long, long way to go solo. So he might be trying to spur the other riders. It looks like it's working. People are matching his pace. They're good for him. Then they need to be fast. So here comes the split road in a bit. We'll see which way everybody goes. But I hope it doesn't split the group. For them, I'm hoping they all are able to stay together. Get another picture. There we go. I hope that's not a problem for Alex. So I'm dropping back now. He was just easing off a little bit. I'm pretty sure John is a new human to me. I see his cadence varying in a way that sometimes the bots don't. Here we go. Here's the split road. Let's hope they all go the same way. Let's see what happens here. And it looks like they're gaining again on the bot coming from behind. So, looks like Felty and not sure who else went the other way now. This is interesting. It looks like Dominic's attacking. So if you want to drop your friends here, this is the place to do it. Aku is on his own, it looks like. Another rider with him. We've lost 2 riders. There's only 48 left in the race. Now, it's interesting to watch here. The rider, it comes together after 500 meters. Aku will have a little bit of a ramp, so it's going to be hard for him to match the pace. And he's a little behind. That's dangerous because he's going to be uphill a little bit and lose speed while the other guys are actually on flat and slight downhill. So that's a bit unfortunate, and that's the danger. That split right now. He had to, and it looks like he's getting back in. That's great. Relieved, but he had to burn a match or two to kind of catch back up. Easy for him. He's a very powerful rider, so it's maybe not a big deal. Yeah, he's back in. Good. For me, that's danger. All right, so they're back together. We'll pass the split road one more time late in the race. Now that'll be more interesting because they probably won't be cooperating as much at that point. Now they'll be competing for the race win. So now they're up to 39 seconds on the solo bot. Oh, and another rider. In fact, let's check. It's a +1. So who's he with? Alexander Alvarez. I think that's another bot. That's a name I'm not familiar with. But you can see how steady the cadence is. That's one tell of a bot. Doesn't always work. This is another one, I believe. It's very steady pace, cadence within a RPM or 2. Anyway, back up to the front. So here we go. 10K in. We're using actually my HUD heads-up display settings, which I find are kind of unusual. I like to see the draft front and center. That's the 100% number you're seeing. So we're on Alex at the moment. He's at the back of the pack. You see at the back, and he's sitting in 100% draft. I think it is 100% of the draft is available. I'm not exactly fully clear on what that means. I just try to maximize that number wherever I am if I want to be as efficient as I can be. It changes in the wind. Now let's talk about that. You see the wind 5 kilometers. It says it shifts around here. It gets a little tricky. You can definitely feel it when you switch from crosswind to tailwind to headwind. Attacking into a tailwind is recommended because the draft wake is much smaller. You can break the draft behind you. So things are breaking up a little behind, actually. They're not gaining, but I think the split road must have divided up the groups a little bit. You can see the peloton is now on 19 with a group of 15 behind, or 20, I should say, with a group of 15 behind. So the split road caused the chaos it often can in a race, which makes it kind of interesting. All right, let's see how the other guys are doing. You can see some of their data, watts, RPM, heart rate. So we're gearing up for, we're still 4 kilometers away from the first sprint point. So that's the next interesting thing that will happen in this race is watching that. Now these guys are 48. That's pretty fast. They're in a tailwind. Looks like Matthias is, yeah. So I'm guessing he's interested in GC time. So he's doing work on the front ahead of at least the one bot, Haruki, the Japanese bot. I'm certain it's a bot. I recognize that name. Matthias is doing work on the front, big pulls, so he is going for GC time, which helps everybody in the group. But if there are people going for their sprint points, they are not as interested in contributing, so they'll be slower. So if everybody's together, they can be faster. It's a bit of a bit of tension between the interests, personal interests, as there is in all racing. I don't know that there are any teammates. I think they're all individuals in this case. Looks like Alex has the same GC aspiration. Yeah, he's doing a big pull. So for those two guys, Matthias and Alex, clearly have GC aspirations and are hopefully trying to encourage the other guys to share those aspirations with them. So they'll do some sharing, some work. You can see he's hitting 51 kilometers. So he's fast. He wants the other guys to be fast, and they can all be fast together if they choose to. Sometimes it's hard just to hold on. So the fact that some of those guys may not be working doesn't necessarily mean they don't wish to. It's just this pace and the level of these riders sometimes can be very, very high. As you can see, obviously the numbers Alex is putting in. He's beaten me in races before going long to like a 2 kilometer finish sprint. So he's excellent at this type of effort. But let's see, he's actually, I think, let's look at the draft numbers. Okay, so there's the second rider. You can see the gap there. It's not very efficient if they're trying to work together. I think Alex is probably just going as fast as he can. And here comes the other guy. It's only 3 or 4% draft. And the crosswinds and everything kind of kills that. So if they want to be efficient, you'll want a TT-like pace line where you guys are really close and stay in each other's draft, share the work. It's the most efficient way to get to the finish. But they'll also have their eye on that sprint point, which is 2.1 kilometer away. That's the next banner we'll hit. Should be, I think. And that's why I think someone might be slowing down a bit. I don't know Antonio. Let's watch the cadence. I suspect Sabat's very steady. I'm going to speculate that. I don't know that name. Haruki, again, I recognize it's Sabat. Frank is human. And Matthias is human. We know them. All right, 1.7K to the finish. Now let's see who is serious about the sprint point. Some guys may not care. They may be just going for time. Alex Gold and Alex Pleasure are very good sprinters. I think Matthias is too, but I know Alex Pleasure is. Sometimes the bots can be too. You don't know what their specialty is. in some of them. Some of them can do 1,300 watts finishes anyway. So we don't know if they're TT bots that are just steady or sprinter bots, but we'll find out. 1.2 kilometer to the sprint points. I'm going to watch Alex Pleasure. Him well. And I know he can't pass up a sprint banner, so let's see what he can do. Yeah, you can see they're all bunched together, 1 kilometer, 1.1 kilometer away. There's no marker for this. You kind of have to watch in the upper right to keep an eye on the distance. So now we find out who has green jersey aspirations. I'll talk about the points in there. There goes Alex Gold. There goes Alex Plater. Let's watch those two. That was my guess. There goes Aku also. These are three very, very strong riders. This will be interesting. 700 meters left. That's a long way to go. And here comes Dominic. That's right. He's a good sprinter too. I don't know him as well. And Matthias. So everyone's interested in these points. Still going to keep an eye on Alex. I know him well enough. He's very, very fast. Oh, I saw Alex Gold freewheel for a minute, but he may have just hit a braking corner. Aku is still pushing hard. Watch Alex Pleasure speed. He's got 300 meters left. There might be a braking corner. Yeah, they're hitting a braking corner, which will kill off their speed a little bit, which also should help Aku. Now there's not enough left for Alex, probably. Watch the speeds. Here comes Matthias. Wow. Okay, that was interesting. I've raced with Matthias for a long time. I never tried to sprint against him since I'm not a sprinter. Now I'll note that in my book. He's an excellent sprinter. All three of those guys are. So, and Alex Gold. Now let's see if they can all come together. And this is interesting. Did their work hurt their GC time going for the sprint? Did they split the group up? You see Frank is already 16 seconds back. Let's see who we... So Matthias is waiting up. Smart. And for the other guys here, now they're going to get the pace going again. Let's see what happened to... They dropped one of the bots, and Frank are back there. So he still might be in good shape with those bots. They either bridge up or he can follow them back up. So Frank may be like me, just simply not a sprinter. So you can see the point on the right. So Aku won that with 50 points. So he's up there. He can still tie. So we'll talk about the green jersey competition. From the earlier session, there are 3 guys with 100 points, meaning 3 of the previous sessions. 1 person in each session won both sprints, and they were Mash, Zeb, and Shinji. They are all sitting on 100 points to the point of this session. Let's keep an eye. Alex is up to something. He always animates races. He's fun to watch. So I think he's trying to spur them to get going again for the GC time. So again, Mash, Zeb, and Shinji had won both their sprints in their respective races, so they're sitting on 100 points. Aku could join them if he wins the race there at the second sprint point. He would join them on 100 points for the green jersey. I'm not sure how the tie break works. I guess it would fall to time. Something we'll worry about at the end of the stages, I guess, right? Just looking to see who else is there. 98 points, meaning they won probably one of the sprint, maybe lost another by a point. It's Martin Coffey and Dean Cunningham at 98. Josh Harris and Kent Nilsson sitting on 97, and Daniel Schock 94. So a bunch of those guys that broke away, 4 of them that broke away the entire race. So only 4 of them were competing for each of the sprint points. That's why they're doing so well in the green jersey competition. Okay, recapping now, we've got 5 riders now instead of 8. Frank and the 2 bots are behind. Now these guys, I'm certain, are all human. I know them all. So they've got 19 seconds on the group behind. So they're not going to be towed along by a bot. They've got 11.5K left. one more pass of the split road. Are they more interested in the sprint competition? Just gonna kind of wait for the final sprint to go for the green jersey, or do they want to keep their chances up for the GC and push each other now to save time? Josh did this one 37:31. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. That's a long way to go. That's 13 minutes for them to go 11.2K. So looks like they're off that pace. Just quick mental math, but as we get closer, we'll find out. I was really, really impressed with how fast those guys were this morning. I think they're going to be hard even for the big session. With last Toto mentioned he had 100 signups in the next one coming up. I'm in that one too, so I can't sprint, so I'm going to do what I can on the front. If I'm in a position to help, I'm going to try to help us go quicker on the front, help my teammates. Let's keep an eye on that gap. They've got 20 seconds on Frank and the bots he's with. They might still bridge, so Frank will have to watch. Sometimes the bots will attack from a chase group, and if you can catch one, they can still close a 20-second gap, but they're awfully hard to catch. You have to really go all in, catch the draft, and work. See, it looked like I saw one from Alexander Alvarez back there. You'll know it when you see. That gets me back to Alex on the back of the pack here. We can watch Frank and his group. If you see Antonio or Haruki suddenly go dark their numbers and start to speed up, that's when Frank will have to be on his toes to catch one if he has a chance to make it back up to this group. Let's see what kind of power these guys are doing in the front here. So that's not the... he's working. Dominic's working. He clearly wants to keep the pace high. To help all of them. It helps him, plus it helps the other guys. And if they'll work together, they'll all benefit as far as the time-based GC, individual GC. So Moonriders, Dirt, Peddlers, have all other teammates racing, so their times here will shake up. And Razik, I think Razik might have raced already. RASO, Alex Pleasure. And Saddle Drunk Racers is Alex Gold's team. I don't know if they've raced before. They might be the first racers from their squads to go. If other teammates go in other sessions, their time will contribute. So here we go. Alex Gold is on it. He's clearly has GC aspirations, so he's doing another big pull on this. Hopefully he'll have some other guys that work with him, or he's still able to. He might not be after the prologue and that sprint in this race. Sometimes all you can do is hang on. So it's not necessarily indication they're wheel suckers if they're sitting on. It may be just at the end of their limit. We'll find out at the end who's there. So they're getting stretched out. Alex is doing a huge long turn. So we've covered this territory before, this part of the course. We're coming back up to the second pass of the split road. So Aku is there. The other guys are sitting in the draft, hopefully able to help share the work. They're still gaining a little bit slowly on Frank and his bunch. It's getting critical now for Frank if he's going to be able to come back up. If the bots attacks, he might still have a chance. So Alex pulls out the front. He did his part. Aku's working on the front. You can tell by the color of their numbers. They get colored rather than white. That's a level of effort compared to their FTP. Matthias is taking turns. These guys are working together. That's great to see. Peddlers are a strong team. They'll have some very good riders coming up in the next session too. So they'll be a contender in the team competition. Peddlers, Razio. Hopefully my team, will be Dirt. Absolutely, they're already there. We'll be contenders in the team competition. That's great to see. These guys are working on the front. Hopefully they're all sharing the load as best they can. Let's See, I don't think, let's look in the helicopter view. If we can see Frank's group back there. Oh, there he is. You can see him bending a couple bends back. He's still back there. Looks well out of the draft. But time is clicking. Only 7.8K left. Time is taking on his ability to catch up. Back to 28 seconds now. He'll still have a good finish, especially if he can beat the bots. He'll still take a 6th place in this one. So that's very good sprint points, and it'll still be a good time. So again, the marker for Josh this morning was 37:31. So the 4 guys up there real close are Mash, Josh, Kent, and Daniel. And then I think Daniel was even 39 seconds back on GC back to Josh. And then at that point before this race, the next match was even 2 minutes back. So they'd already put in 2 minutes on the other sessions. So those are 4 strong early GC contenders. Let's see what they can do here. That reminder that just popped up, Stage 1 indieVelo, that's my own race that I'm signed up for in 58 minutes. So normally I'd be getting ready now and getting on the bike. So my preparation will be a little hurried today because I want to finish this watching these guys. Your inspiration. Really impressed with how much work, how strong Alex is. It's cool. It's great to see him back. He was we used to see him a lot last year in indieVelo racing. A lot of these guys race outdoors also, so summer's often a little quiet, but the indoor season coming with the northern hemisphere indoor season, he's getting a little bit of a gap here. So the other guys will want to, if they can, keep up. It's easier said than done. Looks like Alex has done his part and he's ready for someone else to take over. Aku's great to work with. I've worked with him before. He always do his share, but we're also getting close to the end of the race too. So again, we're down to, do these guys care more about the points competition? You just care about that. You really don't care about time. If you want time, you're going to be pushing. You may not care about the points. So it's an interesting tension. The rider, just like real racing. And this is not a sprint banner. This is just a banner to remind people how far they have left. Well, Alex a little off the back. He's still got 52%, but I hope he's just recovering. These guys are pushing on the front a little bit. Alex is to get fully back in the draft. So they're coming up on the split road again. You can see it approaching. So watch for this. If they're coordinating, they'll all say in chat, let's all go high, let's all go low. I can't see the chat in spectate mode. If they're competing by now, they may not want to share the information. Some may want to try the low road or the high road. Let's see how it goes. Alex is back in. They're all back in the draft. Oh, good. They all went high. I suspect they're all might be cooperating. The gap behind started to close a little bit. So maybe the guys behind picked up the pace, or these guys might have slowed up front. It's hard to say. It's still got 24 seconds, but a little more a bit ago. Five kilometers left. They all went one way, so the split row is kind of taken out of play at this point for these front riders anyway. Let's go back and see if Frank, now that's a risky. Oh good, they all went the same way. Sometimes if you're the boss, you go one way and they go the other. You can't control them and it's random. So that was good. You always want to go the same way for some help, otherwise you're on your own in the wind and it's a bit of a pain. But good for him that he got lucky there and they both went his way. Let's see if he can make it interesting at the end. Sometimes the bots will pick up the pace, often, usually they will actually, and some might even still attack, but I suspect the battle is going to be between these 5 human riders for this one. So they're at 34:12. Josh's time earlier was 37:31. These guys still have 4 kilometers left, so I think it's becoming more and more apparent just how fast that session was with those guys working with Daniel, Nash, Kent, and Josh. Were just blazing fast. Working together in TT mode, 4GC time. I know Josh did a really nice recap. It's like 4 minutes long. Search indieVelo today, look for Josh Harris's recap. Watch it. He was going for time. He wasn't as interested in the sprint points. Mash was, so you can see how they raced, but they did very, very well. So here goes Dominic. Let's check it. All right, they got 3.6 kilometers left. Dominic's pushing. You can tell by his number, the color of his number is 51 kilometers. He's got a little bit of a tailwind. So let's hope they're all still working together. But at some point, the attitude will change, of course. This is a race, so they'll be racing each other. There's nothing else going on in this race before the finish, which has 50 points on offer to the winner all the way down by 1. And all still... Let's see, the finish point, I forgot to mark it when we went by the first time. There goes Alex. Let's keep it Alex. So you can do long rigs too. And Alex Gold can too, and now we know Matthias can. This is a tough group. I wouldn't stand a chance. So let's see how these guys are going to race it. They know Alex is strong. Alex Gold. It looks like they're starting to race each other. 2.6K left, so the race is on. I think they're just going for the win at this point. So I forgot to look at the finish, as I always do, to mark it if there were breaking corners or how the wind was looking. There goes Alex Gold. This is something he does really well. He can go this long. He's done it to me, and I was beaten within the first 500 meters. Now he's easing off. I think he's going to let somebody else do the work. I hope that's... He was getting nervous when he sees someone freewheel if that had drop out or something, but no, he was just easing off. He realized that attack wasn't going to work, so he was going to wait. 1.9 kilometer left. Nobody's going to get dropped from this 5. It's going to come down to the sprint. 21 seconds behind now. You can see now it's a little late, I think, but now the bots are working. Frank's with them, which is good. The bot's coming behind, 30 seconds behind Frank, so he's got to keep an eye on the front and behind. You can still get a 6th place, which is very good. Now they've slowed a little bit. Now they're starting to play games a little bit, saving themselves for the sprint, but they're coming from behind, only 19 seconds back. So let's see what the pace of that does. 3:11, but sometimes you can't tell their weight. That might be still a fast. If it's a light rider, that bot, it could still be very fast. So nobody wants to push with only 1.3K left. They're all going to go for the sprint. They're closing from behind with only 15 seconds down, going 50 kilometers. This could get a little bit interesting. 1.2K left. Alex sees it. He goes. Now the others respond. That's a great attack. There's the flares for the 1K remaining. Let's get a picture of them. Comes the other guys. All right, sorry, I'll get the numbers back. Okay. 700 meters left. Looks like it'd be a kind of a cross tailwind, maybe. 600 meters left. Here they come. We know all these guys can sprint now. Don't think the group behind is going to catch. It's only 500 meters. Let's see who goes first. Nobody wants to be the first one. There goes Dominic. Ooh, they're saving it quite late. Some braking, probably smart because there's a braking corner. That was clever. They paid more attention than I did. Now, no more braking corners after this. It's only 300 meters left. There goes. That's wow. Nobody's going to catch that, I don't think. Wow, outstanding. There he goes. So he takes the 50 points. Aku will take second, I think. Yeah. Nope, maybe not. Sorry, I'm not quick enough with the keyboard to be able to move back and catch those. I apologize. Let's see how Frank makes out. There's the finish. He's going for time. So with the points race, it doesn't show me the time, but let's see, they probably finished right around 39:30. 37:30 was the first time. So I think there's still a couple of minutes back of the first smashing time that that earlier session did. So anyway, I've got to go get ready for my race in 40 minutes. That was interesting, inspirational. So well done, guys. It was fun to watch you, and we'll see how we do in ours. Good luck with the rest of the stages, and thanks everybody for watching.